More news out of NIJISANJI actually. We got a recent termination of a VTuber known as Zaion, I believe. Jiggle, 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 jiggle. They're publicly called. This is actually the first time I'm really hearing about them because, I am pretty new to the corpo VTuber world. I'm trying to learn what I can when I can. And when it comes to what's the intricacies of corpo VTubing. Oh, thank you, Kyle. There are a lot of things that just get hidden behind. You can't really talk about the things you want to talk about because you know how it goes. You're under contract. The company wants to have the best foot forward essentially, and they want that engagement. But recently, Zion Laza was terminated. There were some callouts. Of course, there was drama over it. I don't really know too much about the drama itself, but instead, I will. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna cover a twit longer that came out, and it's talking about this Zion streamer. It comes from the Twitter account Seiyu Okami, and they're sharing one girl's story. Hello. Regardless if you knew me or not, I am and always will be Seiyu. Today, I wish to tell the story of a girl named Zion, who has made mistakes, was shamed online, struggled with mental illness, and completely wished to belong, and simply wished to belong somewhere. This story will cover several aspects from directly addressing allegations and statements to her own experience. The Google Docs below is formatted for easy navigation throughout the several points within these topics. Intro and addressing rumors. Before you read the Google Doc link, I ask that you please read everything in this twit longer first. This entire document's purpose is to give context to what happened, not make excuses for Zion's mistakes or encourage harassment of any kind towards any party involved. Zion does not absolve herself of the mistakes she did make and wishes to apologize to her community and those who were truly her friends behind the curtains for letting them down in any way. Please understand that there are a lot of small things that went on and added up aside from what's written here. Several things were omitted for legal reasons. Please also understand that taking screenshots or keeping receipts was not something Zion ever kept in her mind until things really started to go south, and not with the intention to attack the company or anyone in it. This is why she did not take screenshots of several of earlier issues. Returning to myself, I admit I do not understand exactly what victims of harassment went through, how mentally and sometimes physically damaging it is, and how hard it can be to get any kind of help against it. Personally, I'm grateful for this experience so I can properly understand and empathize regarding this type of treatment. Thank you in advance for reading, for understanding, and for granting us some of your precious time. Geez, that's pretty heavy to start with. We're going to be going into this, and frankly, I don't know where this rabbit hole is going to lead. I just know that she used to be Zion here, the person we're talking about, not this Seiyu. Zion was part of NIJISANJI. So some tools might be. Oh, yeah, tons of people are going into this. This is a long one. Wow. Okay. Intro addressing the rumors. I ask that you please read everything in the intro portion first. I believe I. Okay, this is different. Please utilize chapter links and statements later for proper understanding of what happened. Some of the statements made, several of the allegations written on her terminations were due in part to differences in cultural background between NIJISANJI, an agency based in Japan, and Zaion, a streamer catering to a global audience. Interesting. None of her VODs were privated by her decision. She did not believe in hiding her mistakes in this way, and always wished to own up to them. Thus, this document's purpose. Again, interesting. Smash or pass? No, that's happening in like an hour and 15. Right now, I am just talking about a terminated corpo VTuber. And honestly, none of her VODs were privated by her decision. I don't typically delete my tweets or delist videos for that exact reason. Even if I come to, oh, thank you. Even if I come to disagree with my own video in the future. Oh, cool. We're talking about this again. That's what's coming up. On the Shotacon topic, this was a long-running joke stemming from before she was Zaion, coming from her origins as mainly a Genshin Impact streamer. Those who do not play Genshin wouldn't know this, but in the game, ever since first released, several of the meta units were characters that had appearance of young boys, like Venti. They were mostly expressed to be quite old. Venti is several thousand-year-old god. Kazuha is 18 plus. Scaramouche is several thousand, etc. Note that Xingqi and Chongyun are 17 and Zaion has never made any sort of implication towards them. But the point is that, as a player who cares about being able to clear content, Zaion would make jokes about wanting these characters because they coincidentally happen to be Shada designs. She is not at all attracted to them in any sexual way and appalled at the idea. NIJISANJI also never brought this up as an issue throughout the course of her employment. Yeah, jumping on the cancellation over Shotacon or Lolicon, that's something that fans do a lot. And from this statement here, there is no problem with wanting to, or saying that she wanted to get Scaramouche or Venti or whatever. They're all fictional characters. It's not the biggest deal here. Zaion agreed that separating would be best for both sides, but the parties were not able to reach an agreement on a joint statement. Interesting. Not a surprise, because, Niji-san, I would imagine that companies would keep their stuff close to the chest. They want to play things as best they can, keep their optics as good as possible. While attempting to argue for a more peaceful narrative than the termination statement NIJISANJI wished to make, Zaion did get written confirmation that NIJISANJI had no intention at the time to cut off or discourage her from interacting with or remaining friends with other NIJISANJI livers. She also confirmed that NIJISANJI would not avoid commissioning or working with any creators that work with her in the future. Okay. So they make that statement. Can I click on the link? The linky? This person. So they are planning to go through, or they were fully going through with the termination, but they weren't wanting to, completely cut ties with her, at least in this statement. What the fuck is this with page 2? She has been doxxed down to a home address, name, and face by those expressing malicious intent. I mean, people with good intent don't dox. This happened right after her indefinite suspension on February 9th was announced, and NIJISANJI did not communicate that it would take any actions against the doxers. So they just stayed quiet. There is substantial video and written proof of threats, including death and swatting. However, links will be omitted for legal reasons. That. God. December. Wait, February 9th? Was that back in. Is that the start of 2022? In December of 2022, NIJISANJI released a statement uh, declaring their efforts against doxing and harassment. Despite that announcement, NIJISANJI did not inform Zaion that it would be taking action against the spread of personal identifying information, defamatory misinformation, and daily harassment towards Zaion while she was suspended as an active liver. What was she suspended for? I imagine the video or the document will get into it. Thank you very much for your continued support of NIJISANJI and our affiliated livers. Cooperate and be the exercise. Okay, so yeah, they're making that statement that Zaion still would have been a part of. Zaion was still affiliated with NIJISANJI despite being on suspension. So they should have done something, right? I admit I did not understand exactly what victims of harassment went through, how mentally and sometimes physically damaging it is, and how hard it is to get any kind of help against it. Personally, I'm grateful for this experience so I can properly understand and empathize with others regarding this type of treatment. Yeah, it's. Would you rather watch a tree grow or You're funny. Also, I hope that did remove you from Twitch chat. I'm just going to confirm before I continue on. Oh yeah, I'm sharing that screen. Don't you just love the little children that need the attention of their mistress? Right away. No, not that one. Oh no, that didn't actually. Do. Go make racist jokes somewhere else. Aw, you 4chaners getting bored and coming in to bug me. Statements and allegations. I'd like to preface this by saying that I do not want any third parties to use what myself or Zaion are about to reveal or twist our words in any way to damage the reputation of NIJISANJI or its livers. I don't want to twist it myself either. I want to know what actually happened, and if it's something that's worth criticizing about NIJISANJI, I will not refrain from criticizing them. But if they can show that they're doing good, I will praise that, because that's so hard. We understand that NIJISANJI as a brand had to do what it felt was in the best interest for its business. The following will be providing context and responding to the statements and allegations against Zaion. Use a copyrighted song in her stream without prior authorization. Vague usage of copyright actually referring to December 18th. Chose to play the first cover song release of one of her. Wait, so the copyright was owned by NIJISANJI. Lion was not aware that it was considered a breach of copyright and was staff. I did agree and apologize for that mistakes. Okay, so I get where Zaion made the mistake. She wanted to enthuse and show off. I'm gonna guess a friend's cover song to her own fan base, but forgot that the copyright was owned by NIJISANJI and that even though was an affiliated act or affiliated liver, she didn't have full free copyright of access to all of NIJISANJI's stuff. It's kind of trickier than that, unfortunately. Number 2, revealing internal information that can potentially cause issues for stakeholders during her stream. These statements refer to the instance of Zaion's last Good Job stream where she spoke about permissions regarding playing Hogwarts Legacy on stream. From 30 minutes to 30:36. Was she not allowed to play Hogwarts Legacy because of the controversy?
Did I reconfirm Hogwarts perms? No, unfortunately. Well, I mean, we did have them, but like, the thing is with like all the controversy stuff, it's a little bit risky to play. I personally actually don't care, but but no, not for everyone else, right? Like, I don't want to like drag down like, you know, the company and whatever else. Like, just because I don't care, I don't want to drag everyone else down with me. So I'm like kind of forced to wait, which is fine. I get them wanting to wait and see. Maybe we can see if it's not too bad. But you know, until we see. Whoa.
Okay, that makes that. Yeah, that makes sense. She doesn't personally care over it, but NIJISANJI wanted to avoid the controversy with that. Stated that they did have permission to play. Spoke about this like any other game they had gotten confirmed permissions on. Game. Okay, now I'm confused. It's like with this writing, it's almost like they gotta confirm every single game they're gonna play. But I mean, you're working for a corporation, it kind of makes sense that you confirm what stuff you're actually going to be playing on stream, because you know, as a corpo VTuber, your content is not necessarily your own. Number 3, making statements that could lead to speculation or leaking of internal information using social media accounts that personally operates during her activity suspension time. This is referring to 2 instances. First, as Zaion was forcefully locked out of all of her accounts during her second suspension. She resorted to using her personal Twitter account to browse Twitter. She did make the mistake of liking a random reply while she was browsing through and did unlike it after realizing her mistake. Okay. So part of her contract meant that she wasn't allowed to engage with it at all on Twitter, but she was browsing it on her personal account and then liked a random reply that resonated with her. And oh, the shame. How dare she have a personal opinion? Second, this also refers to Zaion's previously owned Discord server's admin making a post about how production for most paths that were owed to previous subathon supporters were finally being made. No mention to sell these as merchandise products was ever emphasized. I have an announcement for those waiting on sticker redeems, prize giveaways, and other type of merch. Some shipments are delayed due to a certain vendor of being on vacation. I meant to announce it sooner. My apologies. He's been on vacation for a while and he won't be back for a week or two longer. Thank you all for your patience and thank you for supporting Seiyu. The production of Seiyu Mess Paths is back up and running. More updates are available. They will be posted here. Okay. However, this could have been perceived as her planning to leave the company and hinting at fans doing so. Wait, how? Okay. What? Zion did explain the situation in a voice call to staff. However, after claiming that they would check the facts for each of these instances, they still listed on her termination letter showing absolutely no signs of remorse for her behavior. Really? An excerpt from the cancellation notice shown below. Certain things you can't do when you represent a company. That's just capitalism. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's part of why I like staying as a indie. Reference 5. However, on February 9th, the same year, immediately after your suspension with your past life, oh, that's what PL stands for. Twitter account, which is prohibited to use, you like to tweet mocking the fans who are angry at your inappropriate behavior. Virtual liver, and you made an announcement through the admin past life Discord server showing absolutely no signs of remorse. No, that was fulfilling a promise she made before. Why is NIJISANJI so mad at her? Offensive remarks regarding discrimination and sexual assault. I like offensive. Let's dive into this one. This also refers to two separate instances. Shocker. First, on the topic of sexual assault, Zion felt horrible that she made this mistake. This refers to a joke made during her stream of the game, The Karaoke, a Chilla's Art horror game. What? A lot of streamers, Zion included, turn on streamer mode in their brains to try and keep a several-hour stream constantly lighthearted and entertaining and making a joke out of everything that goes on. Unfortunately, she forgot the situation of the space she was in and made a joke that was inappropriate. There was no malicious intent and she makes full responsibility. The comment was not aiming to make light of sexual assault or its victims. Since it could not be said at the time, Zion apologizes for this. This stream and its contents were not one of the stated reasons for Zion's suspension. Oh, so it's just people getting pissy and trying to cancel her harder beyond the suspension and termination, is it? 2 hours, 4 minutes and 48 seconds. Oh, cute art. 2 hours, 4 minutes. Oh, yeah, trigger warning, by the way. Apparently. That's even closer. Perfect. Come on.
Oh man, no wonder she got. Yeah. Wow. Hi.
Okay, I'm guessing from that this is a person that had to live through that experience in the game, or at least in the lore of the game. Does it go further than that?
Yeah. Clothes. Cool breeze and ocean breeze. Yeah, and let's see, and that one, and
Yeah, she even stopped herself in the middle of that joke. Yes, it's tasteless, but she caught herself literally in that joke. I don't. I really don't think people should be getting that mad over that one. Second, regarding any offensive remarks involving discrimination, no serious remarks were ever made towards any specific group or culture, or any specific people or culture. There was one instance in Zaion's second ever live stream on December 11th where a viewer jokingly asked if they could use a term Zionists as a fan name for her community. She clearly stated, "I don't think we can do that," in response, knowing full well that it was not her place to use such a term. Unfortunately, NIJISANJI characterized Zion's nervous laughter when addressing the viewer's comment as remarks mocking political or religious beliefs. Really? Like, ah, okay, I'm gonna look it up. I don't feel like it actually, but I'm willing to bet, given this context, it was a nervous chuckle. Like literally what she describes or what's described. I would probably make the same kind of response. And the fact that Niji Sanji's characterization of it was a remark mocking political or religious beliefs? No, I don't think we can. Nervously laughing and saying, "I don't think we can do that," is a being aware and respectful of other religious and political beliefs. I personally don't agree with Zionism, but go off, King. I don't care. Number 5, several infringements of the rules pertaining to the use of games defined by Any Color Inc., including international infringements and repeated false justifications given to Any Color Inc. regarding these infringements. This may be referring to several items. First, to stream on February 4th, that was a Nintendo game. Zaion had many successful Nintendo streams in the past leading up to the stream on the 4th, complying to rules which will not be stated here. However, on the 4th, Zaion made a mistake. YouTube has an autofill function for its video descriptions. She used it that day and missed the adjustment of part of the description and was notified by her manager of as such midstream. Her manager adjusted it for her. Zaion thanked them for that and apologized for her mistake. Wait. What? Was it because YouTube has an autofill? But what was the actual thing? Second, regarding the Final Fantasy XIV account sheet in use, simply put, Zaion made a choice that was not what was agreed on, and thus this was completely the fault of Zaion. The rumor of Zaion's using mods are false. What staff wanted was a new character upon a new account. New accounts require the game, along with subsequent story skips or level boosts, to all be officially bought from the Square Enix store in order to participate in the content that Zaion had readied. No form of compensation for this or for new Genshin or other game accounts was discussed. What? So NIJISANJI wanted Zaion to use a brand new account with everything bought through the Square Enix store to participate in Hello Fox. To participate in content for Final Fantasy XIV, which requires so much story to get through to get to endgame stuff. Zaion regrets that she had poor lapse in judgment. She chose to use a character she already had that simply had little to no logs. While she changed the character name and no past life issues came up, she did tell her manager she would make a new character and did not. She explained this to staff and apologized for her lack of compliance with this. Okay, that's... If you're going to tell if you tell your manager you're going to do something, you should really stick to doing that. I mean, you are getting paid for what you do. Expressing her will to perform streams using illegal games, also referred to as pirated games. This seems to be taken out of context as well. Zaion did reply to a chatter saying that she used to play ROM hacks, which is technically a pirated form of a game. She recognized in retrospect that ROM hacks are technically piracy. It was a violation of company policy. Zaion recognizes that piracy does go against company policy, which is why she's never condoned piracy nor streamed emulated game. Which is valid. This comment, as well as Zaion's answer, was cut out of the VOD on 11/12 per staff's request. Which, I mean, it's against company policy. It makes sense why they would remove it from the VOD. Comments that can be considered offensive to the rights holder of a game during a stream. This is referring to the stream where Zaion was playing Uno. Ubisoft's multiple user interface results in it being incredibly difficult to change a username. So she criticized the game for not being user-friendly. Oh my god, cancel her! Giving false information to other NIJISANJI EN livers regarding the contents of her communications with AnyColor Inc. This is only referring to a misunderstanding regarding Zaion using her Genshin and past life gacha accounts. Zaion did not tell her gen mates that she was told that using her accounts would be okay. Okay, so she didn't say to her gen mates that she was told it was okay. Now some of the floorboards are floorboards. Yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of mass, that's how it works. She merely told them that she was told in the interview process that it was not okay. This was conveyed to staff as well during their discussions about past life game accounts. See the first privated VOD conversations. And Zaion was not aware until receiving this cancellation notice that this misunderstanding existed. Yeah, not allowed to use your previous life stuff. Which makes sense. You're not running your own channel and stuff. You're representing a company, so you can't really have your personal stuff influence that. And they want to keep all their they want to keep things on board, I guess, or above board, I guess. That makes sense. Falsely claiming to have received permission from AnyColor Inc. after a viewer commented on Zaion's performing an action prohibited by the rules. This may refer to Zaion opening her YouTube memberships after checking that all of her memberships perk perks were within the rulings of NIJISANJI. She had gotten the emotes and badges approved by her manager and thus assumed that as long as her perks were also within the ruling, she could activate them for Christmas for her fans after they had asked. She apologized to staff for not asking their approval. Okay, yeah, like it's literally your job. You gotta confirm with things, but I mean, if you are working with people for a long time and you're doing well, they should also kind of trust your judgment as well. But I mean, ooh, the depths of this are a lot deeper than I expected. Oh my god, we're not even halfway through this. We got like 45 minutes till my Smasher Pass. Falsely claiming to receive permission from any color ink after a viewer commented on Zion. Right, that's where I was. Yeah, that's what I read. Falsely claiming to be sponsored by a brand during a stream. The Cat's organized neatly stream was done by Zaion, had a running gag where she commissioned an artist to make her an asset of bags of a bag of nuts labeled D's Nuts. Many jokes were made over the stream, including, "Oh boy, I really love D's Nuts." Yeah, I've been supporting D's Nuts for a very long time now. And in actuality, she was not sponsored by the pre-existing D's Nuts brand that was not known to her existed with the asset when the asset was created. D's Nuts is a brand? Like an actual brand? It's huh. Nevertheless, she was asked by her manager to private the VOD for the reason that they felt she was claiming to be sponsored by D's Nuts. No. No. I mean, comply and stuff, but that does not give the impression of. You know what? Let's check it out some. Let's check it out.
To fit in there. Okay, so these have to go here. There we go.
So it's
now this has to be a thing. Y'all know that, right? Yeah. No, I could see. Honestly, though, I could see us guys someday retiring out to the countryside together. And creating Zaion nuts. Whose nuts does the milk come from, though? Who manufacture it? We're gonna manufacture. We're gonna create our own nuts. Yeah, we'll have our own nuts farm. It'll be great.
yeah, cause those those kinds of yeah, we watched that. Those kinds of comments are totally. I really feel like NIJISANJI is jumping the gun with that one. Giving likes to comments falling under defamation of NIJISANJI Livers and Any Color Inc. using social media accounts that she personally operates. This is inaccurate in some capacity. Only one like was given on accident to a single tweet, which Zaion liked on her private account during the time she was suspended in February. She was not aware that this had happened until it was mentioned to her. However, Zaion does not excuse herself from this mistake. The liked tweet was an image post of a crude meme created by a community member that was in support of Zion's content style, but did not like comments making negative statements. Due to the harassment, death threats, and doxing caused by the suspension announcement, Zaion overlooked her accidentally giving a like to the image. Zaion apologized to staff profusely for making the mistake and strongly tried to emphasize it was not her intention to do so. It's also understandable to make that kind of mistake, especially when you get Treated the way Zaion has so far. I mean, she could have done a lot worse to them. Numerous and other actions and comments infringing the contracts and rules. This statement is too vague to comment upon as there are no specifics that can be mentioned. However, it suggests that Zaion committed other wrongdoing. Yeah, that's just kind of painting a bad narrative if you don't actually fuck point out the bad behavior if you're going to actually call somebody out for it. Don't fucking get all vague about it because nobody will ever know. Their important conclusion in their last call, Zaion begged them to reconsider, or begged them more, begged them to consider a more professional approach to future commentary between the two sides. To this, NIJISANJI refused, stating they needed to protect their brand. Some of the allegations are untrue or uncontextualized, which negatively impacted Zion's character. Yeah, like going through what we just went through already, Zaion made a couple mistakes, sure. But the stuff NIJISANJI has been putting out against her with the vagueness, it is, at least to me, it looks like they're damaging her brand in a thinly veiled guise to protect their brand. I'm not the only one that gets that vibe, right? Zaion agrees with the decisions. She did make mistakes and agreed that separation was appropriate for both sides. I believe that there were a lot of things provided without proper context that negatively impacted her character. Oh, that's what happens. People just essentialize and jump to conclusions. In the end, Zaion wishes things could have gone differently. Some NIJISANJI members have spoken about Zion's termination, and she wishes to avoid giving context to that or on that here, as she does not wish to bring direct harassment towards anyone else. That aside, Zaion sees this as a huge learning experience and sincerely hopes everyone can move on from this chapter. Honestly, the important thing is finding out the mistakes you have made to, yes, use it as a learning experience. Not just you, but all of us. Seems like they just looked for any reason to get rid of her. I've been kind of getting that vibe too. I'd like to preface this by saying I do not want any third parties to use what I'm about to reveal or twist my words in any way to damage the reputation of NIJISANJI or its livers. This is simply Zion's first-hand experience chronologically listed from the moment she was onboarded to her final moments. Did you miss the Smash Pass? No, I'm just going over a NIJISANJI termination. Because she's telling a lot. So I might actually be delaying the Smasher Pass a bit while I get through this. Because it's taking its time. Taking its time. I want to ask everyone to put themselves in Zion's shoe for a moment in the present. As a content creator who has been doing this full time for over a year, way before joining NIJISANJI, it's hard going about your day, supporting your friends on Twitter multiple times every single day, and reading their content as you used to. Then, when the suspensions and terminations happen, you're told you must obey the silencing contract. But what this results in is suddenly being blocked or unfollowed by several people who you have considered to be your friends, or who you've cared deeply for a long time. People who knew her as a person and still cared for her in return are even harassed for caring for their friend. Holy goddamn shit. Like, that's gotta be so fucking isolating. Even if you make some some mistakes, like to not be allowed to engage with the community you've spent so much time cultivating. That's just it's not okay. Rather than say NIJISANJI is terrible for doing this, I want to say that this is the kind of this is the kind of treatment of talent that I don't want, or that I honestly, if I had the chance, I would start up my own agency to run things the way I think they should be ran. And this is not how I would handle a suspension or a termination. That's honestly, that's just cruel. Zion became increasingly afraid of hurting the few friends she had left and avoided many of them completely. Still doesn't know how some friends feel about her now. She lives in a she lives in constant fear of making everyone feel uncomfortable just by being around them. God, I can relate to that so much. Zion was someone who was always incredibly excited to spend time with her friends IRL at cons, and would go out of her way to do so. The constant cycle of guilt and trauma drove Zion to a very dark place, and still does. There were people that she trusted, and she told her struggles to. Some understood. Some understood this as her gaslighting or guilting them when she confided in them. It's true that most of them didn't really know Zion as a person, but it's not fair that the simple way they knew her is now forcefully replaced by this storm of complicated and strong words that don't actually have her in them. Let's make a VTuber union. I would love that, but I don't think that's actually possible. At least not with like NIJISANJI or HoloLive. They're kind of set in their ways. Instead, what if we had like a VTuber worker cooperative? Like where all the talents owned a stake in the company. Not just the talents, all the workers, the writers, or like the lore writers, the artists, the riggers, the musicians, the modelers, everybody that works on the back end of content. I don't know. I've talked with some people privately about it. They've had some good thoughts. They've had some good insights. I do hope Iron Vertex does respond to my email. Ah, sippy sip. Goes without saying that the characters we play online aren't the full us. You can't assume how bad someone feels, how sad they are, just because they play a happy character online. Just speaking for myself, what banner I'm under or what character I played never changed my own style. This is very much true. My, even my content, in ways I am playing a character. I play up some bits of my personality. Oh God, I'm so gassy right now because I had a big sippy of Dr. Pepper, and Dr. Pepper makes me want to make noises. Anyways, let's seize the means of content production. But yes, I'm basically playing up the parts of my personality that I think are enjoyable to people, that I think get people to listen. No, apparently not, princess. I did read as much as I could about what everyone was saying, be it on YouTube, news videos, various posts on Twitter, posts on my YouTube account, or yes, even DMs sent to my Twitter. I want to make it known that I read every Twitter DM and just about every YouTube comment. After everything, Zion felt like a failure. She felt like her dream and who she was at her core was now ruined because of this experience. She did desire to end her own life, but each and every message, or every kind message, pulled her back from the brink. Without all of you, a person would no longer exist. Some of her stories will be omitted for legal reasons. Please respect this. I very much will. We still have quite a bit to go through. August interview. Asked about my current monthly income. When I received the first email asking me to interview with NIJISANJI, I confirmed a time slot that they had already listed as an offer and waited. However, I realized that the day of that I still didn't have a link to the online interview call. Their email had stated it would be with Microsoft Teams. Exactly 4 minutes before I was meant to be on call, I messaged them again asking for the meeting link. Then 2 minutes after the confirmed meeting time, they sent me a new email with the link. The interview itself felt fine. There were 2 people on the call. It felt like they were asking questions based on the answers I gave, which made me feel like they were listening and did care about the person I was. There wasn't any information told to me regarding specifics of their company, like how they ran things differently from other VTuber or talent agencies. Things like being unable to use my current social media or streaming accounts forever versus simply a short amount of time, being unable to use any current game accounts or allowing certain ones, etc. None of that was included. It was a simple interview. What was interesting came at the very end, though. I had mentioned that I had previously had a job at a tech company. One of the interviewers, who hadn't said a single thing until then, asked me in Japanese how much I used to make as an independent streamer. I told him how much from subscriptions, scholarships, etc., and he responded, hmm. Then immediately following that, he asked how much I used to make at my tech job. I answered that I actually made less than I currently did as a streamer. He gave me the same, and said he had no further questions. I thought, well, if you're going to ask questions like that, then I'll ask one that I wasn't sure if I could ask. And I asked, do you guys have a monthly salary or a minimum per month that you pay your talents? The interviewer answered, no, but I can tell you that if you sign under us, you'll make more money than you're making right now. I'll never forget that. But at the time of compensation, but at that time, the compensation structure was not discussed. Jeez. Yeah, I've made that mistake too, Natalie. We're all dumb and naive sometimes. But like they were unwilling to discuss compensation structure during an interview. That's I guess I it makes sense for not really going into detail about the compensation structure in the first interview, but if they have multiple, that should definitely be discussed. Let's find out if they did. Excuse me. Fast forward to the 21st of August. I made it through the final interview with the CEO. This was the only time in the entire time I had been there that I would even see his presence in my or my talent's vicinity, let alone speak with him. He asked questions that I thought were very good and well thought out. Things such as, what kind of character do you want to play? To which I answered, I'm usually the anti hero. I like saying things that make people laugh or surprise or shock them. I love getting reactions out of people. He also asked how much I wished to act for my future character on stream. He said, or on stream, I said that depends on how much content the company and I end up expecting of myself. If I do shorter hours per day, then of course that makes it easier to keep up a persona further from myself. If I do longer hours, like I'm used to doing, however, then it would be easier if I was more being myself. Again, nothing regarding how they ran the company or what they expected me to give up was mentioned. October prep. Debut song asked to be fully recorded before even hearing Genmate's voices. Rushing into it a little, huh? Fast forward to October. They messaged me back saying that the debut song for my generation was ready. They requested that I record my lines and turn them in within a week. This would be our most important song, yet, at this point, I had not even met my gen mates or known what they sounded like. I asked them to push the deadline back because I would be gone at TwitchCon. The new due date turned out to be a little after I would hear my after I hear my gen mates' voices for the first time, but that was all the knowledge I'd have. So like they're not even really having their livers talk very much. They don't really know each other when they're debuting together. That's pretty isolating. Just saying. After I submitted my recordings, they messaged me back saying the producer said my recordings were no good due to some background noise and that I would need to go to an actual studio to record my lines or clean them up. So I asked a friend who dabbles in DJing as a hobby, to clean up the same audio files for me and submitted them again. At this point, I received no more updates on the song, so I assumed they were fine. Yeah, if they weren't fine, they should have told you. November debut planning, organizing, and managing. Around the end of October is when we were finally able to start planning for our debuts. I had experience debuting as a VTuber for my own activities, so I was familiar with all the elements that needed to and less likely to unionize. Yeah, very, very true. All the elements needed and how to manage planning with with all different people I work with. Regarding the question of what was needed for the debut and subsequent streaming activities, the managers informed that nothing is really required. It's up to you how much or how little you want to have for it. So, so what is NIJISANJI actually doing to promote these people? They're doing a song, brand, but what promotions did they really do? I personally incurred the cost of planning a successful debut. Our lore was written by ourselves. They provided their own lore for the character that isn't even theirs. Okay, I had to find people who had the skill sets needed for graphics and animations myself and pay them myself. By the time we debuted, I already hugely in the red. And in order to plan and execute a debut hitting such a company. So, holy shit, that's not a good look for NIJISANJI. To say nothing is really required, it's up to you how much or little you want to put into it. And then just leaving it entirely up to your talent, not even putting any upfront costs to help them with their debut? Really? Because, like, why would you want to be in an agency aside from the brand name at that point? They're not doing anything for you. They're constricting what you can do, and you still have to do all your stuff out of pocket on your own? Jeez. No wonder Nijisanji doesn't want people talking about them. Meeting the other Nijisanji EN livers. They were incredibly kind, considerate, and immediately included us and made us feel like one of them. I will never forget their kindness and how much effort they put into being there for us and each other. Unfortunately, things did change as time went on, but that was not until the very end. So it is nice to hear that they did express kindness and put effort into bringing in the new members and supporting each other. That's heartwarming. It's a good thing. December, given a manager who's 2 weeks old hire. I mean, everybody starts somewhere, but let's see. For me, I see a manager as someone who helps us strategize and build upon our own style of content and character personality. But that was far from what we got. The manager they assigned to manage our whole generation of 6 was someone who was a 2-week-old hire. But one fresh manager for 6 talents, the entire generation? That's too much of a workload on a new manager. It's like the opposite of that other Corpo VTuber I sent you TikToks from. That liver did say it depends on the company, but usually the first model is included. Yeah, there are a ton of different VTuber agencies, and well, NIJISANJI just happens to be one of the big ones. So we're talking about that. Plus, I mean, how often do you get to hear about the perspective of a Corpo VTuber after graduation? You don't know. You don't know. Okay, it was not the manager who trained us for the whole month of November with whom we had developed a bond, nor the person who worked us through the onboarding. So like it is somebody completely brand new to the company and managing, and wow. Anytime I had to call with our manager to discuss something, their manager was also there. And it was pretty much just me asking him stuff while she sat there and nodded her head. If there was something I wished to do or something I thought was worth fighting for, it felt like it wasn't fought for. All I experienced was the expectation to bow your head down and not question the system. Goddamn fucking NDAs. I get it for some things, like you're working on research, you want to be the first one to really capitalize on the stuff you're researching. Fine. But so much of the NDAs used in VTuber agencies are just about hiding the shady shit that companies do. Like, this is coming from a place that just doesn't feel like they're being represented, that they're being heard, that they're feeling like a cog in the machine. Debut week 1, first private VOD. Genshin past life account. Silencing dissent. Yep. Here's where things started to fall apart. Just in the debut week is when things started to fall apart. Just to double check, I asked my manager if I could use my Genshin account of nearly 3 years. The game was huge for me. I had a long-standing relationship with the game as a content creator, and it was a significant part of my career growth. I would stream the game multiple times each week on Twitch as an indie, and it was my comfort place. Several other talents in the EN branch were also streaming while using game accounts they had owned before joining the company. Even though the president was there, I was trying to see if there was any other rules they wished for me to follow, and my manager said, "Hello, Zaion. For your Genshin stream, if you're using an account you were previously using when streaming Genshin, Please make sure your user ID is not visible or change it if possible. Thanks a lot. And thus, I covered my ID and we had an incredibly fun stream. Most corporate streamers who play Genshin on stream are usually newer players who try it because their viewers wanted to, inexperienced players, or just doing it because of a sponsorship. So many fans expressed how enjoyable it was to see someone play who actually cared a lot about the game and played it seriously. It's an honor for me to represent that. However, not long after the stream had concluded, I got another message from my manager. Sorry for the sudden change. However, it has come to our attention that you might have fans from past life activities as friends in your account and have been able to receive in-game prizes from this account. For more clarity and consideration of every liver's safety, we have decided that the use of private life accounts would be strictly prohibited. Therefore, if you would like to do more Genshin streams, it is necessary for you to create a new account. Again, I am very sorry for this. However, according to this decision, we will private your Genshin stream VOD. I hope for your kind understanding and cooperation. Other livers are able to use their past accounts, and I was not. I had a 2-year-old account I wish to use, and a lot of content planned for my future streams centered around it. Like, there's other NIJISANJI livers that use their past life stuff, but like if NIJISANJI were to take the stance of this across the board, and then prevent the other talents from having their past life activities, I guess, intersect with their brand stuff. Though I don't really see how that's an issue. If somebody could explain that to me, please DM me. Let's talk on stream about it. But, like, seriously, I just don't get the problem with this. They appear to just view them as a paycheck and not a person. What? Corporations don't view their workers as people? Just a means to make money? No way. Having the stream VOD from that day private, it also meant that I could no longer earn money from new views on it, and consequently stunted my growth analytics because, as one of my most successful streams, it was no longer visible content to the public in my debut week. Fans were asking me where that stream went, and I wasn't allowed to tell them what happened. Many people attacked me for using my old account, which I had received permission to use, then had taken away, then said it was my fault for probably using it without permission. My manager and their manager told me to tell people that it was like a peek into my hard work of the past, and now I'll be starting something new together with my new fans. And that's the lie I painfully ran with. Oh my god. Literally. I did my best to argue for the rights to use that Genshin account, saying that this was not the term I had entered the company on, and that plenty of other talents in the company used and still were using their old accounts. I had a call with my manager and her manager, and they told me that the reason I couldn't use my old accounts now was because they existed before Zaion did. When I said that I could not agree with that, we had a second call, and nothing changed. Finally, I told my genmates what was going on, asking them for help. Some of them had past account, or since some of them had past accounts, they were also under the impression that they would be able to use them. We all had a group call with the two managers. Once again, the narrative changed. Shocker. The managers said they would consider my past game accounts on a per game basis and approval. Yes, don't need to remind me of my stuff. I am fully aware of what I'm planning. Mostly. uh, consider past game accounts on a per game basis and avoid approved of a game that my gen mate wanted to use. When mine was brought up, they said it's because you were an official Genshin content creator and that counts as a sponsorship and you can't use any accounts that were previously sponsored. What? Even so, like, I had a failed Genshin sponsorship, but I wouldn't even be able to use that account for NIJISANJI if I were to agree to be a talent for them because it was previously sponsored. This is wow. This expanded the scope of the matter beyond just my Genshin account. But first, I rejected that claim because in the official rules for being an official Genshin Impact content creator explicitly states that this does not count as a sponsorship in any way. Official Genshin content creators do not get paid for creating Genshin related content. Also, in preparation for joining NIJISANJI, I purposefully did not reapply for my position as an official Genshin content creator, and thus I hadn't been a part of the program for 2 months. Then the manager said, "But you were a pioneer for the game." So a lot of people know that account. This was yet another completely new argument from them. And here's another thing. I actually don't remember if Zaion changed her name on the account, but I'm willing to bet she hid her player ID. So this is just irrelevant if it wasn't actually showing the account. And even then, it wouldn't be a lot of people that would be able to tell when, oh, this player ID is the exact same one as previous life account. Oh my god. That's it. I'm never applying for a corpo, indie, or co-op all the way, right? This would normally hold no weight because no single Genshin account can be distinguished from any other. Every account is able to get every character, every item, every outfit. Nothing is unique except for the user ID, which can be hidden. Yeah. At this point, I had my suspicions about the real reason, and I gave up on arguing any further. So I moved on to my other game accounts, such as Alchemy Stars and Guardian Tales. Hey, that was a cutesy game. Because I had been sponsored by those companies twice each, I greatly enjoyed working with them, and we had a great working relationship. I relayed this to my manager, and they said because those accounts were sponsored at any time in their existence, I could not use them here. I felt like I was being punished for my past success. I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. Holy shit. Oh, you could talk about it, but we're not going to let you actually use the same stuff and promote. Like, using that old account would be a great way of getting a bunch of new people into checking it out. It's not a bad thing. It's just NIJISANJI wants to be controlling, it seems. Or I'm just narrow devising there. Prior to hearing this, I was under the impression that NIJISANJI would be happy you had success before us. How dare? True. Would be happy to have someone who had been on good terms with several other companies, and whom they also worked with. Funnily enough, one of those Alchemy Stars sponsorship events was with two of their own EN talents who were now my senpais. That that is really making it seem like NIJISANJI is out for blood on Zaion. Debut week 2, reaching out to help or reaching out for help in DMs to managers and being suspended for it. Yeah, what was she actually suspended for? Because honestly, the stuff that's been shared about, the termination got pretty vague. And NIJISANJI did a lot of their own narrativizing. At this point, I'd messed up in several ways, including playing my genmate's cover without realizing I couldn't, showing a stranger's face in a Twitter post on my stream by accident. I was having a hard time not messing up, and I felt horrible about it. I suffer from clinical depression and have been going a little while without meds at this point. Oh, girl, you gotta stay on. I know that one. Very true. At this point, I felt incredibly trapped. I felt like I couldn't fit in and my content wasn't welcome. All my hard work on gotcha games from the perspective of an experienced, dedicated player, I felt like I was a failure. Like it wouldn't make a future ship sponsorship easier if the talent, like, wouldn't it? Yes, it actually would. If the more sponsorships you do, the more companies will reach out to you and want to sponsor you, especially if you have a good working relationship with that company. It's like it's like Jisanji doesn't understand capitalism. So I reached out to the two people who had onboarded us at the start. They were not our direct managers, but they were people who I had trusted and felt comfortable with. I DM'd them stating how bad I felt that I kept making mistakes, that I didn't know what to do in order to continue being creative and not infringing on one rule or another. I DM'd them saying I was sad, asking if there was anything that could be done about my Genshin account, and saying that I overall just felt uncomfortable. And one of them responded. The person who trained us was someone I loved a lot, and it seemed like everyone did. She was kind enough to have a voice call with me and talk through my feelings and issues, and even offered to try and fight for the Genshin account issue. That was enough for me. I knew that it was a difficult thing with a company that big, and I didn't have any expectations past her just trying. I was so incredibly grateful that I just had someone in the staff I could speak to. Right there, that just speaks volumes to the isolation of the talent here. Why do they like shooting themselves in the foot? I don't know. I think they get off to it. But we would never speak like that again. In a call between my manager and their manager, I was told I was told of my New Year's suspension and that DMing a manager was one of the reasons I was being suspended. Lit directly. I felt hurt and shocked. Even my gen mates had said they DM'd managers before. I hadn't said anything that would hurt anyone or was a secret, but that was that. Jesus Christ. Like, she felt she had one person on staff to open up to, and then suspended for DMing a manager? That is not. Oh, that's not how you treat people. New Year suspension December 31st to Jan 9th. Oh god, my Smasher Pass should be starting, but we're almost done. We're almost done. Then I want to take a break, and then I'll do Smasher Pass. Okay? Okay. Cool. Glad you guys agree. Demanding a 2-week break so early into me being demanding a 2-week break so early into me being here was way too long and detrimental. Even as an indie, the longest break I had taken was maybe 1.5 weeks. So during the call in which I was told of my forced suspension, I begged the manager's manager and asked if we could please reduce it to 1.5 weeks. He thought for a moment and said, "Can you really come to a serious decision within that time?" of whether or not I wanted to stay in Nijisanji. And I said yes because even before this call, I had already been thinking about this since debut. I know he was trying to pressure me into agreeing to 2 weeks, but after working so hard for my own, or on my own for over a year, I knew how breaks go. So you get used to doing nothing and you get lazy. I wouldn't let myself get into such a habit after all this struggle. Niji Sanji's the abusive so who isolates you from all your support systems. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. Like crimson red flags about how they treat their talents. Finally, he acquiesced. At the end of the call, my manager's manager asked me what I'm going to tell my fans. That was asked in a manner that made me feel pressured to say, "Oh, I'm just going to say that my family asked me to come on last minute holiday trip because of what happened with a prior graduation in the company. I had already been told by my senpais that oftentimes suspensions would be disguised as breaks by the talent. Now I understand why." So, like, taking a break? No, you're actually suspended because the company didn't like what you were doing? That's just. I. What can you expect from corporations, huh? So, the New Year's countdown to that I promised my fans, of course, could no longer happen. And I told them that my family rarely does anything out of town, so I had to go on this last minute trip. That I would be gone from the 30th and return on the 10th. That never happened. I just stayed at home and tried to see if there were IRL friends around who didn't already go on vacation elsewhere or weren't too busy. At the same time, Haku, one of my two cats, 4 years old, was suffering from a liver disease. No, that required me to feed him every few hours. So it would morbidly work out that I had time to take care of him. However, it was incredibly expensive, and now I'm still trying to pay off the incurred bills. Oh, God. I know that feeling. I had to drop 4 digits just to take care of Gotham. Oh, boy. Trying to lay low. Upon returning, I turned down the creative ideas a notch in an attempt to reduce the risk of breaking any more rules. I only streamed games because I knew which had confirmed permissions for sure. No, just chatting or creative streams, at least for a while. That was the plan, and I stuck to it. No, not that next part. Honestly, that's so stifling of a creator that they can't talk about what they want to do. Credit card gang represent. Yay! Trigger warning, pet death. February 7th, Haku's death, and the ending. I had been taking care of my cat, who had been suffering from liver disease for a month. He passed away the day after my indefinite suspension began. I did not feel supported by my manager when I shared this information. The subsequent distress was compounded by the fact that staff had locked me out of all of my accounts. Forced to sit on all of this alone, this would be one of the most difficult times of my life. Everything past this is history. This was there was a lot I enjoyed about being in Nijisanji. There were a lot of people I looked up to, who I liked, who I trusted with all my heart. There were some really fun times. But as much as I wanted to stay and how hard I tried to do something different every time I messed up, I knew I wouldn't be able to compact my style of entertainment into what they wanted without regrets. I feel that I need to say that during my time there, I felt trapped. I felt like a failure and did not feel like staff cared about me as a person or for my own creative style, as the managers I was forced to work with did not show an effort of did not show an effort to understand me beyond the surface of our work relationship. I am still incredibly grateful for the opportunity, and I am grateful for the friends I did get to make there. And I'm grateful that a place had such history saw value in someone like me at all. Thank you for reading this. I've learned a lot from this and hope we can close out this chapter here. Trigger warning, last picture with Haku below. I've, oh God, I've been there. I've had to say goodbye to very close friends, I think. And that they had to go through that alone. God, it's not how you treat your talents. It's not how you treat people. I don't think I can add any funny joke to cap this off. It's just wow, this was a lot. I didn't expect it to be this bad. The isolation is that's what's really getting to me because I know how painful it is to be alone, to not be able to reach out to people, or to feel like you can't. But then, in Zion's case, when she had been locked out of all of her accounts, she had no one. This is what we should. This is what needs addressing in the broader community. Not just corpo VTubers, but there is so much loneliness that doesn't get addressed. People just don't want to think about it. They just want to enjoy their happy, carefree gaming streams. But how can you truly be happy if you're always focused on your struggles? You need to work through them in order to properly be able to enjoy life.